Welcome back, everyone, to Vampire War for the Second City. As always, I am your storyteller, DM Dale, or Dark Gaia. I'm being a bit more formal today, because today is the beginning of our final arc, part 1 of Reap the Whirlwind. And tonight's episode is entitled Light Up the Night. An ominous title indeed. Vampires don't like when the night lights up. Usually it only means they're in grave danger. But we'll see. We'll see. So, it has been just over 2 weeks since you brought Alexander face to face with the Prince and the Primogen and sealed his fate. In that time, Derek has begun to adjust to the potent vitae now flowing through his veins. He hasn't fully regained all of his lost humanity, but he's regained most of it. And when you see Derek tonight, he's almost resembling his old self. He's not that monstrous thing he was when he walked out of Squizzy's manor 2 weeks ago, but nor is he entirely Derek. He does a good job of passing for what you would have once called Derek, but there is still something ever so slightly unsettling about him, something just a bit colder. And Derek, you're still plagued with the occasional flashes of a life that isn't yours. As you awakened tonight in your haven, the first thought to float through your head was, yes, Annabelle's party. She needs refreshments, and I must provide. Annabelle's party at the Succubus Club, and you shook your head. It's not Annabelle's party. You're not in Chicago. You don't need to procure refreshments. But you do have social obligations tonight. The coterie has been invited to meet with Baron Sue and the Anarchs tonight. Word has been passed along to you. The cure for the Second Inquisition's blood plague has been completed. And as was agreed upon, the Goratrix Tremere will present it to Derek tonight. You also have some business to discuss with the Anarchs in general, and tonight is going to be an opportunity to clear the air, lay all your cards down on the table. You're still waiting for that call from Adiz or Specs or Squizzy or whoever is going to get in contact with you to give you that word. Go after Thornton. So, you don't have anything else on tonight. And so as we start tonight's story, I would like everyone to please go ahead and make a rouse check. Derek, you may choose to automatically succeed if you auto-feed a dot from your herd. But I'm not going to automatically do it this time because I know you have aggravated damage and you might not automatically want to drain your herd yet.
Well, Chimera gets hungrier. That's our
Chimera gets
first dot in hunger for the session.
Mm-hmm. Vince got hungrier too.
Hope is fine.
Hope is fine.
I'm gonna roll for this one.
Didn't get to hang out in that 0 hunger for long.
Ooh, success, so I don't get hungry.
Lovely. Would you like to heal the aggravated damage you've sustained, Derek?
Yes.
Go ahead, 3 rouse checks.
First one's a success. Second a fail. Third's a fail, so that's 2 fails.
2 fails. Luckily, you've got exactly 2 dots of herd left. So, you emerge from your haven at Hunger 1 tonight, but fully healed. And Chimera, as you climb into the rusted old Toyota Supra that used to belong to Cockroach, jiggle the key in the ignition a couple of times, hear the engine roar to life, and then fizzle away, and then roar to life again. Your beast rumbles in the pit of your stomach. It's been silent for a few nights, but tonight, it finally awakens, and you hear its ever-hungry voice whispering in your ears. Chimera, you dealt with Cockroach. You eviscerated him, but there are others like him. Scumbags on the street. Scumbags preying on the innocent. You should find them and do what you did to Cockroach. Reduce them to nothing more than gristle and gore.
She hasn't been confronted with this in quite some time. It's been nice and quiet in her head for a couple of days. She grips the steering wheel and just kind of mulls over the idea of doing that, because it was quite pleasant, actually.
It was very cathartic. But the hunger pangs aren't unbearable just yet. And so she settles her beast for now, gripping the steering wheel, digging her talon like nails into the leather. Hold on, she tells the beast. There will be time. She's sure of it. As Vince emerges from his haven, riding the elevator down to the underground parking lot of his apartment building, as he holds out the electronic tag on his set of car keys and presses the button, and rip, rip, the CRX roars to life, beckoning to him. His beast purrs in anticipation. You've got nothing else on tonight. Yes, I will get to that soon, Chimera. You've got nothing else on tonight. Meeting with the Anarchs. You need to be on your best behavior. And you're a winner now. Winners deserve the chance to cut loose. But as Vince walks over to his car, pulls open the door and climbs into the cramped cockpit, turns the key in the ignition, and the loud bass line begins to pound from the sound system. He smiles. He'll celebrate later. For now, he's got an appointment that he intends to keep. And so, here you are. It is just after 9 p.m. and you are standing in front of the Star Theatre on the edge of Yarraville. The 1920s Art Deco style building stands on the side of the brick boardwalk running through the suburb, lined with trendy cafes and hipster bookstores. Surprisingly, for this time of night, the theatre is lit up. The lights in the marquee are all on, And the marquee advertises, tonight only, action classic, Exterminator 2, End of Days. And then in brackets next to it, sold out. Beyond the thick glass double doors, the red carpeted lobby is well lit, inviting, and you can even see what looks like a teenage girl manning the counter inside. She doesn't notice that you're approaching the doors. Her back is turned to you, doing something to the popcorn machine. Is there anything you'd like to do before you head in?
Well, I presume I had a bite to eat before I came here.
Did you wake up hungrier?
No, but I was on hunger too for various shenanigans.
Yes. You may go ahead and rouse for your animal whispers, please.
And I didn't get hungrier. And it might be nice to have a duffel bag of rats, you know. So that's 2 successes.
2 successes. As you climb off your Kawasaki and park it up, lean it up against a nearby streetlight, you greet the others and hold out your hand, signaling to them to go ahead. As you step into the alleyway beside the theatre, stand in front of an overflowing trash can and rouse the blood. Your eyes light up and your lips purse as you make the chittering rat call. How many successes did you get?
Only 2.
Only 2. So, this part of Yarraville is intended for families and hipsters. It's quite clean compared to the rest of the western suburbs. And so, only 2 rats emerge from behind the trash can. Not particularly well-fed looking ones either. These rats are rather small and malnourished, and they approach you with some degree of trepidation. They've been down on their luck for a while now by the looks of things, and instinctually they seem to know their luck is not going to get any better with you.
Sorry, guys. Better luck next go round.
One or both?
I will... They look malnourished, right?
Yeah.
I'll go for both.
Chow down on both the rats, draining them within a matter of seconds, and there's barely enough blood in both of these poor creatures to reduce your hunger by 1.
Yeah.
You drop...
Then I'll pull out breath spray.
Yep.
Because I'll be doing some talking.
You drop the now flat, bloodless rats into your handbag for later disposal, and then join the rest of the coterie underneath the marquee of the Star Theatre. Is anyone wearing anything special for their meeting with the Anarchs tonight?
I'm thinking
on it.
This is the Anarchs, but I'm actually wearing a pretty nice little suit.
Nice little suit.
Suit. Yep. Suit miniskirt combo.
Hope is dressed for the occasion. These are her people, after all. And Chimera's wearing her usual, I presume. Her bodycon leggings, combat boots, denim vest, badges.
Yeah, if it was Elise, you might have a different... Yeah. If it was Elise, you might have a different outfit planned, but that's for later.
So you step up to the glass doors and Chimera grips the door handle and pulls them open, admitting you all into the theatre. A bell rings inside, and as you step onto the red carpet, the girl behind the counter whirls around. She sees you, and she says, "Oh! Ah! Exterminator 2?
Mm-hmm. Been looking forward to this for a while.
She smiles and nods. She says, "Yeah, haven't seen it myself, but a lot of oldies really love it. Sold out really quickly, and, well, there's 4 of you, and there's 4 reserved tickets right here, so I guess that means you're the last for tonight's showing."
Let's not keep everyone waiting.
She says, movie's already about 20 minutes in, but from what I know, you haven't missed any of the good parts. She leans onto the counter and slides a stack of 4 tickets onto the countertop. As you each take one, she smiles again. The canned customer service smile that she's been trained to do almost without any conscious effort at this point. And she says, "Oh, enjoy the show, and will you be wanting any popcorn? Any choc tops? Anything to drink?"
No, but if I change my mind, I'll be back.
She chuckles, not getting the reference, but being with it enough to understand that you've probably quoted the movie. She says, good one. She says, "Okay, it's down the hall in the Grand, theatre number 2. And then she smiles, turns around and busies herself at the popcorn machine again.
Man, what kind of parents don't show their kids Exterminator 2? Even my parents showed me Exterminator 2. That's... wow.
Anyone else? Is there anyone else in the coterie who hasn't seen it?
Next you'll be saying
I
people out there who haven't seen Lord of the Crowns.
Yeah. So, you leave the lobby, heading down the narrow corridor that leads off it, walking past several cinemas that are shut for the night. The Grand Cinema, number 2, isn't far down the corridor, and as you approach it, you can hear the pounding synth music along with sounds of gunfire and explosions emanating from the theatre within.
As this is a Matrix scene.
As you step towards the cinema door, suddenly it's flung open of its own accord, and Colin the dog Cisco steps out.
Colin!
He smiles as he waves his right, heavily tattooed arm, and he says, "Ah, you made it!"
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
He says, "Hope you don't mind the noise." As he says this, you hear a heavily accented European voice from inside the theatre say, "I will return." He says, sometimes when us anarchs get together, we need to know what we're fighting for, and I thought, what better way to get people's blood pumping than an old-time classic, right?
You chose wisely.
I've actually heard that the sequel's better.
You heard wrong.
As you see this, Cisco just looks at you, he narrows his eyes, clenches a fist and pounds it.
She didn't mean anything by it. She's a zoomer,
into the palm of his other hand, and he says, "Chimera. Now, I'd think those are fighting words, but I'm under strict orders. No punching anyone tonight. Baron's got serious business she needs to discuss, so come on in." And he gestures for you to enter into the cinema.
Oh, don't worry, we can sort that out later.
"You bet," he says, narrowing his eyes even further. You step past him into the theatre, and when you're all in, he pulls the door shut. The movie screen's ambient light illuminates the first few rows of the cinema, and seated among them you see the majority of all the anarchs you know. Baron Sue is sitting on her own right at the very front. To her immediate right, looking slightly worse for wear, a hint of sadness on her face, but otherwise in fighting fit shape, is Sage. As she sees you step into the theatre, she just nods and silently waves. The next 2 or 3 rows are filled with many anarch faces, many that you've come to know. You see Thomas Roth sitting next to the empty seat that Cisco was just occupying. As he sees Chimera, he smiles and then waves at the rest of you. Alistair and Crow are among the sea of faces as well. The rest of the anarchs you know only through reputation alone, or maybe you've seen their faces around at a rant or some other event. You don't really know them by name, but it looks like the Baron has assembled mostly anyone who matters tonight. As Cisco points towards the front row and says, go ahead, Baron's waiting, and then makes his way back to the seat. You hear the music swell from the speakers as on the screen a muscle-bound German man and a young boy flee on a dirt bike from a semi-trailer through a storm drain.
I love this part. Yeah. Alright, I'll lean back to the others. Is here a good place to come clean about the conspiracy and what we've learned, or do we want to hold on to that for now? Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Vincent's peering over at the Baron. He just looks at Hope and he says, "And how do you know Specs doesn't have his claws in her, huh?"
I don't. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Okay.
Make your way down the aisle and assemble right in front of the screen, the bottom of the cinema screen, just above your heads. Baron Sue, dressed in tight, torn jeans and a figure-hugging leather jacket with tank top underneath, lazily turns her gaze from the screen to you. She brushes her hand in the air and she says, Good, you're here. Make yourselves at home." She gestures to the seats on her left side.
Thanks. I'll let Vince take the first seat, because he would.
Yeah, Vince is already sitting down before you've even made your move. You clamber down in a row next to Vince. And then the Baron shifts in her seat, turns towards you, folds her arms, and as on the screen above, the German man pulls a sawn-off shotgun out of a compartment on the Kawasaki and blows away the driver of the truck. She smiles and she says, "So, straight to business. You know why you've been called here, and loath as I am to pass along the cure to the cam, an agreement was brokered between Crow and yourselves."
Chimera kind of like nods and says, "Seriously, thank you for holding up your end of the bargain. I mean, I know you're a baron of your word, but it goes a long way."
Sue just smiles. She raises her hands and she says, "I am, if nothing, a woman of my word. And let it be known that when Prince Taylor did nothing, it was I and the Anarchs who pulled through for the good of not just ourselves, but all kindred in this city. Because after all, we're in this together.
Fucking right you did.
She reaches into the folds of her jacket and extracts a glass vial containing what, in the ambient light of the cinema, looks like blood, but with a slightly darker hue to it. She says, "This is what Crow and Alistair have produced, and according to them, if the Chantry knows what it's doing, it should be able to replicate more based on this." She looks over her shoulder towards Crow and Alistair. You see Crow's severe, neutral face nodding silently in confirmation. And it's at this point that you all notice that seated between Crow and Alistair is another familiar face. It's Dr. Barter from St. Vincent's Hospital. He's sitting between the two Goratrix Tremere. He's looking nervously from left to right, as if he doesn't really want to be here, but knows that it would be a foolish mistake to simply get up and run. His skin is far paler than you remember. His eyes more bloodshot.
Do I sense a beast from him?
You can if you like. You can activate Sense the Beast.
Did they fang him? 2 successes.
Indeed. You stare right into his bloodshot eyes, Hope, and you see his beast staring back. He's now a kindred.
Hope gives him a sad look.
The Baron sees you eyeing the poor man as he looks over and gives you a sort of pleading look. And she smiles sympathetically and she says, "Well, to be fair, he was working with the Inquisition. He was instrumental to the virus's completion, and that knowledge in his head, we couldn't let that fall into wrong hands. But he kept saying that, Hope had promised he would not be destroyed. And like I said, I'm nothing if not a woman of my word."
Thank you for your mercy. Hope says, keeping silent the fact that Dr. Barta lied. That wasn't quite what Hope said, but hey, good enough.
"I held to the agreement. We did not destroy him. But he said nothing about being killed. And so here he is, Crow's second child, Alistair's broodmate, and we are hoping, with the knowledge he holds within him, a valuable addition to the anti-Chantry Tremere movement." Now, she says,
It's gotta beat being dead, right?
"Exactly," she says.
Only mostly dead. Alright, now it's okay.
The Baron twirls the vial containing the cure between her thumb and her finger, and then she holds out her hand. Who will be the one to take it?
Oh, Chimera eagerly snatches it and passes it along to Derek.
Yep. So Chimera, you eagerly snatch it out of her hand. She gives you a kind, motherly smile, and then you pass it to Derek. And Derek, as you go to slide the vial into your trench coat, The Baron turns, she stares into your face and smiles. And I would like you, Derek, to please make me a composure plus wits check.
Ooh.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, now I'm gonna boost wits. Oh, success, so I don't get hungry. Good. 4 successes.
4 successes. Ooh, almost. She rolled 5. She flashes her brilliant teeth, and the light from the cinema screen seems to catch her at just the right angle that it accentuates her nearly porcelain doll-like features. She blinks, batting her eyelids a couple of times. And then she says, "Of course, Derek, when you present this to the court, you will remember to tell all present that they owe their lives to the Anarchs, to the Anarch Baron who cared enough about their well-being when their own prince did not." And Derek, part of you, a voice in the back of your mind, feebly protests and tells you that presenting the cure in Elysium is already going to be enough to rankle the prince. Directly calling him out on his inaction is possibly going to get Larson to pounce on you right then and there. But at the same time, the Baron really does care. You get the feeling that to her, the most important thing is that every kindred in the city has a chance to thrive and live according to their own will. And you don't want to disappoint her. So, when the time comes to hand over the cure, you will need to roll Resolve plus Composure to resist doing as she has entranced you to do.
Okay.
"Now," says the Baron, smiling once again as on the screen, the burly German man blows away a SWAT team with a machine gun. "I did not just invite you here to hand over the cure. I've been told there's other business you wish to discuss. There are rumblings that a move will be made on the prince very soon, and, well, we must get our cards out on the table. I need to know who my allies are and what they would ask of me."
Goodness.
Yeah, where to even start?
This is going to be a bit of a discussion. Well, the first thing I'd like to ask is maybe some popcorn with a little bit of cure on it, because I've been fighting some serious rage issues lately. If there's any to spare.
The Baron nods. She whirls around, waves her hand in the darkness, and you see a couple of the Anarchs in the shadows shuffle. A few minutes later, a red bucket of popcorn is dropped into your lap, and you see little pinpricks of red sprinkled amongst the pieces of popcorn.
Heavy on the cheddar, thank you. I get a little hungrier and I chow down.
Grab a handful, bite into them. The popcorn itself tastes like nothing, but the moment the chewed mush slides down your gullet, you feel the tension that's been ever present in your gut for almost a month now immediately dissipate. You've become your old self once again.
And immediately Hope relaxes and there's a change in her posture. Oh my goodness, thank you. Crow, thank you. This is much better.
The Tremere gives you a severe, silent nod as you reach over and hand the bucket of popcorn to Derek. Derek, if you'd like to partake of the cure, you'll need to rouse the blood. Unless you have to eat food merit, which I think you do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need to rouse the blood. You just reach into the popcorn bucket, grab a handful, stuff it in your mouth, and
It's like, wow, we
instantly
can cold.
that quiet rumbling that's been present, almost imperceptible on the periphery of your perception, stops. And you can hear the movie in its full glory, the swelling synth music. Dun 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 dun.
Okay.
Fine, that's one voice dealt with.
Just as you
So-
think that to yourself, another voice drifts into your mind. Call this a party? Annabelle would have sculptures, the grand piano, socializing on the Succubus Club's lounge floor. So, says the Baron, let us get down to it. Oh, she looks at Hope. I must know, before we get into any serious discussions. Hope, I trust that you will be forthcoming with me and that you haven't made any arrangements to back any members of the Camarilla in their own bids for power. Hope, go ahead and make a composure plus wits check for me.
Okay. That'll be 5 dice. Works for me. 2 successes.
2 successes to her 2 successes. She turns on her presence, trying to get you to divulge what you've been doing, perhaps to lead credence to any rumours she may have heard of meetings between you and Alia. But as she smiles, up on the screen, the Exterminator does his best attempt at mimicking the main character's jovial smile. His lips twist in a uncanny, robotic fashion,
She's
showing
using a power on
all
me.
of his teeth. And it's just unsettling enough that it completely overrides the Baron's attempt to entrance you.
Oh. It's funny you should mention that. We were approached by a very dangerous person looking to help her bid for Praxis, and we basically turned her down. Barely got out of there alive.
That would be Alia of the Banu Hakim, says the Baron.
She'll make a very good primogen. But we did not feel she would be a good choice for Prince.
So you're backing her for Primogen, not for Praxis.
Huh?
Oh,
I
God.
do like... Not for Praxis, no.
Good. There will be no more princes, says the Baron. She folds her arms, looks away from you, and leans back in her seat. the city under Alia would be different than it is under Prince Taylor, for sure. But that is not a future that the Anarchs wish to entertain. A future where the Camarilla still dictates what free kindred may do with the eternity, the gift that they have been given.
Yeah, about that, actually.
Oh, can't read her expression. Well, success on the inside.
The Baron turns, she faces Chimera, smiling, and says, "What is it, dear?"
We actually had some ideas of our own about who would be a good leader. And she looks the Baron directly into the eyes and gives her a big warm smile.
"Well, it's kind of you to think so," says the Baron. She looks over her shoulder and then she stands up out of her seat, turns around, facing you, her back to the screen, and as she speaks her next words, it's almost as if she's addressing all the Anarchs present. "Of course, I could be a good leader. My sire, Prince Lytton, groomed me from the very beginning to one day take his place when he willed it. But that is not where my interest lies. An anarch state does not work when the Baron would simply be the prince by another name. No. If I am to step up, I would simply serve to operate as a uniting force. Allow the anarchs of this city, and indeed those who support the Camarilla as well, to govern as they see fit. My duty would simply be to step in, to resolve complications and adjudicate over disagreements when they arise. Nothing more. Next to you, you hear Vincent mutter under his breath, "That just sounds like what a prince does."
Yeah.
And I look at between Vincent and Chimera. This is what you wanted. Told you my alternative.
But let us hope that such a future, where I must take that mantle upon my shoulders, is still a ways off. She gestures towards Hope, Derek, Vincent, and Chimera. Surely you have other ideas in mind. Neonates though you may be, only 5 years dead, your voice is important. If Prince Taylor were to fall, what would you like to see from a possible successor? What would you like this domain to transform into? Under my guidance, or under someone equally as capable?
Well, we've been putting quite a lot of thought into it recently, and there's basically 2 roads that we see here. Chimera and you and Vince have one, and you're welcome to lay it out, and I could lay out the one I came up with. Derek, did you have a third way, or anything to add that we didn't discuss in the tea shop?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all.
Alright. What I'd like to see, and this is just a dream so far, this is an ideal, there's a lot of work. What I'd like to see is a council ruling the city. And to get the Cambrilla on board, we could call it a Primogen Council. Each clan would have a representative that the clan themselves would appoint. And there would be no need for a prince. The council would handle things that came up.
Beside you,
There,
Vince mutters, and the Ventru representative is already chosen.
yeah. Obviously, there's a great more detail. There's a lot of stuff to be argued out. There's a lot more things that would have to happen. And it's been pointed out that eventually there probably would be people looking to come in and claim Praxis. And that would be a thing we'd have to deal with. Not just from without, but from within. It's making sure nobody could seize that golden apple, but that was my idea. And Chimera, would you like to present the way that you and Vince came with?
Chimera kind of steps up out of her seat a little bit and addresses the Baron directly. So the way that we see it is that we need somebody in charge at the top. We need somebody who can break heads, somebody who can actually give guidance to the city. The things that you've done for the Anarchs are just, it's changed everything. We're ragtag nothings, and now we're like one of the most strong presences in the entire state. With somebody like you on the top, we could actually see real difference and real change, and shake up the entire power structure, really.
I would like Chimera and Hope to please go ahead and make for me charisma plus either leadership or persuasion rolls.
Help. That'll be a lady.
That's 2 from me.
3 for me.
So 5 altogether. The Baron looks down at you, Chimera, Hope, and she smiles. And she says, an Anarch answer through and through. And for what it's worth, I agree. Rule by committee, a council. This is already how the Anarchs function. The warlords each attend to their own clans. Chimera, your sire speaks for all Gangrel, as you know. Crow speaks for herself and Alistair. Sage speaks for all the Bruja. I simply am the glue that holds them all together. We could call them Primogen, if that will satisfy the hardliner members of the cam. But really, they are not like the Primogen. Each clan is an entity unto itself, and as Baron, I am simply here to call the warlords together, assemble the council and the people, and be an extra voice when one is required. She flashes a smile. Is that the future you see?
I'm not gonna lie, it sounds pretty good.
If we are to go that route, that does sound like an idea.
She says, of course. There are complications. The representatives must speak for all their clan. Too many representatives will be falling into the trap that many Anarch states have tried and failed to implement. Too many voices leads to chaos. It will not do if there are 2 separate Tremere clans, for example. She looks over at Crow, Barter, and Alistair. there should be a single body of Tremere with a single representative. She looks down at Derek and she says, Derek, you are a member of the Chantry, one of Cypher's neonates, and yet over the last month you have shown that you're more than willing to work with Tremere who have turned from the Chantry. I believe Cypher will need to be removed from the equation, and I'm not sure how that will come to pass. Please, enlighten me. As the only one here who is on speaking terms with both sides of the Tremere clan, what do you have in mind?
I suppose an uprising, you could call it. As it turns out, Crow and Alistair were not the only two unhappy with Cypher's leadership. I've been working that angle. And now with the cure in hand, I should be able to leverage this as showing Cypher's ineptitude of the recent situations.
As you say this, in the background, Crow stands and lets out a clap, and she shouts, "Fuck yeah! Down with the Regent!" This seems to satisfy the Baron. She smiles and nods, and she says, smart. Well, that satisfies my concerns. I wasn't aware you'd been working things on your end for quite some time. Is there anything else? She says. Any other concerns you have?
Yes. Actually. I'm sorry, unless it was still Derek's go.
No, I think you're about to bring up the other concern I had as well.
Yeah. We have only managed to achieve the successes we have in the last few weeks due to the aid and assistance of two valuable members of our team who happen to be thin-blooded. We believe that in this situation they're going to need representation as well. They do make up a very large and growing part of our population. And frankly, they are running the same risks we are. And they have talents to bring to the table that are useful to the city.
Thin-bloods, says the Baron. Slight hint of contempt in her voice. Before you can continue, someone at the very back of the theatre raises a hand and calls out, Baron, if I may. The Baron rolls her eyes and says, and that's why you were invited here tonight. I understand now. Come down here, Randall Morrow.
I whisper to the others, coolest vampire name ever. Kind of jealous.
You watch as the Thin-Blood speaker, the oldest Thin-Blood in the city, Randall Morrow, makes his way down the aisle. He's not as imposing as his name would suggest. He's only a short man, about 5'6". There's not a lot of mass to his body either. He's got long, wiry black hair that runs down his shoulders, and he's wearing a thick set of nerdy spectacles. His black t-shirt has an image of a 20-sided dice on it. As he shuffles out of the aisle and stands between you and the Baron, He clears his throat. He looks towards you, Hope. He holds out his hand and says, Hope, Duncan Wells informed me you would be here tonight. Said you would advocate for our cause, and as he shakes As he shakes your hand, he then turns to Derek. He says, and of course, Emily and Slick have nothing but good things to say about you, Derek. It is rare that we find a real friend among the full-blooded kindred. He holds out his hand.
Yeah, I take his hand and shake it.
After you finish shaking... Go ahead.
As I'm shaking his hand, as the Baron said, we are all in this as one. We are all kindred.
Indeed, says Randall, and yet some of the kindred in this city, he eyes the Baron and some of the other anarchs seated in the rows, think we are playing by different editions of the same rule set. Clasps his hands together, folding his fingers together, and he narrows his eyes and says first to you, then to the Baron, let it be known that if this city is to be built as a domain where all are equal, my clan will have territory. If we are denied that, I will interpret this as an act of war, and I will stop at nothing until my clan undermine you at every turn. Both the Baron and Vince mutter the same word, quiet under their breath. Clan.
Oh, read the room. Oh, dear.
Chimerix blinks and has no idea what could possibly be said in response to that
I'm
statement.
going to stand up. The strength of the Anarchs has always been diversity. It's one of the big things that has let the Anarchs keep going over the camp. And I look to Sage. If I hadn't met tolerance when I came into this city, my head would be on the floor and Larson would be taking a leak in it the first night I came here. And I like to think I've done a little good for this city, utilizing my talents along the way for our cause. And I think they can do the same.
Sage nods at your words. She raises her fist in the air, does a fist pump, and shouts, "My vote's with the Thin Bloods!" The Baron sighs, and she says, "A formal Thin Blood domain would bring the city to the attention of Camarilla, Alistairs, and Archons in other domains.
Well,
I don't see how the benefits outweigh the potential dangers." And at this, Randall snarls and he says, "You speak as if the benefits are nothing, and yet you say we are honorary anarchs, even benefit from my people's blood, alchemy. And you must admit, our precognition abilities have helped you hide from the Camarilla for decades, have they not?" The Baron just nods and says, "Yes, this I must admit."
Well, speaking as 100% of the Tzmitzi in the city that I know of, I'd be willing to share a domain with them until the pros and cons can be sorted out. Here's the thing, if things fall a certain way and Squizzy ends up going, then you're already gonna have the eye of the Archons and rest of the Umbrella infrastructure. So at this point, it'd be pretty much tears in the rain.
True enough, says the Baron, curling her bottom lip in thought. We cannot simply create new territory out of nothing. The existing clans have already carved up Melbourne.
I actually have something to help a little bit with that. I can't do everything, but I've been tirelessly working to get some major boons from the Camarilla side of things. And I can cash a couple of them in on territory. Mind you, I don't know how useful Torador territory would be, but it can be bartered among other clans.
See, she was listening to you. She was nodding with each word. But the moment you breathe the word Toreador, she shakes her head. Not acceptable. This city belonged to my clan. They built it. They will not share their territory with Thinbloods.
Chimera raises her voice and says, didn't you say that we're all in this together? Didn't you say this is about diversity and equality?
Go ahead, Chimera, and make for me a charisma plus leadership check. Or charisma plus performance using your specialty.
Okay, thank you very much.
For rousing a crowd.
That's a complete and utter total failure.
Willpower?
You know what? I will do that.
And I've got something to add in after that.
That's two successes.
2 successes. You stand and address the other Anarchs as you say this, and suddenly they're whispering, talking amongst themselves. On the screen behind you, a man in a trench coat lies on the steps of a hydraulic press, bleeding out, and with his dying breath he says, the future isn't set, Linda. There's no fate but what we make.
So, Hope's eyes slide shut, and she turns to the Baron. With all due respect, Baron Sue, any territory I manage to barter by calling in the boons which I have done in service to various clans, Toramodor among them, any territory I gain from that will then be mine. And of course, I'm quite willing to barter it back to the Torador or whomever for territory elsewhere, which might not necessarily be Torador territory. The glory of boons is that they can travel.
Make a manipulation plus politics or etiquette check, please.
And I'm going to go ahead and boost. I'm just offering something to throw into the pot. I mean, they are very major, in one case maybe a life boon, but it's really just something to help get things going. Stir things up. Give people a shot at new territory, or maybe something they've always had their eye on. Not great either way. But 4 successes.
4 successes added to the 2 that Chimera got means 6. And the Baron only has a resolve of 4. So you've beaten her resolve. And as you negotiate and add your offerings to the proposal, the whispering Anarchs get louder and louder, and soon the theatre's filled with a din of voices. Thomas Roth rises from his seat, and he shouts, Chimera's right! Diversity! The Gangrel will gladly provide some of our domain! And at this, the Baron simply smiles. She clasps her hands together, sharply exhales. And then she looks first to Hope, then to the thin blood speaker, and she says, "Fine. I will agree to the proposal. The thin bloods shall have formal domain. But that binds them to the traditions, or at least to the one tradition that is of utmost importance, whether you be anarch or otherwise, and that is the masquerade. Just because you can pass for human doesn't mean you should assume that you always will. Understood?" Morrow simply nods. He shoots a look to Hope and Derek. A thankful look. And then he smiles in triumph. "I accept the terms, my Baron." And then he turns, makes his way up the aisle towards the back of the cinema, and disappears into the darkness. Well, the question of territory with regard to the Thin Bloods is concluded satisfactorily, I hope, says the Baron. "Is there anything else we must discuss?"
Chimera leans over to the group and says, should we tell her about the visions? Or...
Nah, probably not. There are possibilities, soap bubbles, and... Actually, just a small thing. I am speaking for 100% of the Tsmeetsi in this city right now. Would you like to keep it that way?
Tradition would indicate that, as you are the eldest of your clan, you would by default be the speaker for them, yes, says the Baron.
Okay.
There are no other Tzimisce in the city, but if we are to become the foundation of an anarch state, I am sure others will come. Your clan is increasingly turning their backs on the Sabbat and coming into the anarch fold.
Alright.
If one who is older, more potent than you should arrive, well, that can be discussed at such a time. For now, consider yourself to be formally recognized by myself and all the anarchs present here as the speaker for the Tzimisce clan.
Thank you very much.
Now, she says, the niceties have been concluded, business has been discussed. Is there anything more you wish to ask of me?
I look at the others. I was going to... Well, no, that's no big deal. That can wait.
The Baron smiles. You have been friends to the Anarchs enough that I will tell you that this very night my warlords gather to discuss the eventual taking of Praxis from Prince Taylor. We are monitoring the situation, seeing what will happen once you present the cure to the court. With that, and with the rumoured attempts by the Ventru clan to seize power, it's only a matter of time before the prince falls, either by the will of the people or by the direct intervention of the Anarchs. This city may be won without war at all. We're not ready to act yet, but I have taken your words into account, and we now have concrete plans for how we will proceed once the city has been taken. We are just waiting for the opportunity to make our move. She narrows her eyes, stares at you, Hope. Unless there is some intelligence you possess that would assist us in this matter. You're not entranced. You don't feel the need to impress her, but if you would like to inform her about the conspiracy, this is your chance to do it.
I look to Vince. I look to Chimera.
Vince just gives you this completely neutral, almost expressionless look. There's no sign of affirmative on his face whatsoever.
Yeah.
Chimera gives you like an affirmative nod, definitely an affirmative nod.
And Derek. Does he have a kind of abstained look on his face?
Yeah, sort of somewhat neutral.
Yeah.
All right.
Staying.
Sort of like a...
Well, one positive. I'll turn.
It's no secret that the coterie is kind of like an upside down triangle right now, ready to be kind of flipped over.
Yeah, I will say there is one thing, my Baron.
Oh?
Yeah, we are 99% certain that Squizzy's own Seneschal is working to get him removed permanently.
Yes. Thomas Roth brought this to my attention. I was hoping you would confirm or deny. Very well, I will take that as confirmation. It is Roth's belief that this Roth just blatantly cuts the Baron off and says he's going to make a move on the Prince very soon. Probably after Thornton's brought in. We're talking a matter of weeks here. Well,
Yeah,
there
we're
you have it,
pretty
says
sure
the
we're
Baron.
also on the chopping block, but we're taking steps to handle that.
I'll leave that in your capable hands then, says the Baron. But if that Malkavian is to make a move against the Prince, then we will simply sit back and do nothing, and swoop in to fill the resulting power vacuum. Once all of those who are a danger to the kindred of this city have been dealt with, of course. Will you assist in that?
I will. I do not wish to go to war with the Camperilla, but I will fight for whichever vision of this city that you desire. Because you are going to be a central part of it, regardless of how this goes. And because, honestly, you're the best leader in town.
The Baron flashes you a motherly smile, and she says, if what I've been told about Seneschal Smith is true, then we may be able to take control of this city without spilling any blood. But it shall remain to be seen. In either case, I will consider you as my allies in this. And when the time comes, I will expect all four of you to advocate in my favor.
We do that anyway.
Lovely. She bats her eyelids. Now, that's everything, I believe. I so would like to see the end of this rather brainless movie, if I'm to be honest. She stares up at the screen and...
Okay, that's gonna take a composure plus.
Yeah.
That's gonna take a composure.
In the background, you just hear Cisco say, "Brainless!" He nearly rises from his seat, and Thomas Roth holds out an arm to keep him in place.
Hope's got blush lights going, so she does deep breaths. Okay. But her eyes are shut, so that helps. And she smiles. He starts eating the rest of popcorn, sits back to watch the movie. Tries not to tear up.
Up on the screen, the exterminator smiles and he says, "They'll live." You sit and watch the movie for a few more minutes, but then, Hope, you feel your phone vibrating in the bodice of your suit jacket.
Yeah.
Reach in, extract it, and there's a message on the screen. It's from a D's. It simply says, "It's go time," and there's an address.
Shite. I look at the team. We're on. I have stuff to do really quick. I'll rise, head over to Sage.
As you step over to Sage, she stands up and she pushes through the anarchs between you and her, and as she reaches you, she throws out her arms and embraces you in a hug.
Huge hug. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
She buries her face in your shoulder. And when she finally releases you, she looks at you, her face devoid of emotion. She looks into your eyes, and she says, "You make Larson suffer."
You want in on that?
She smiles. "When you have him where you want him, give me a call. I'll be there."
Oh. You'll be instrumental in getting him to that point, too. Trust me. And then look to the others. Do we have like 2 more minutes?
Yeah. What did the others say?
I mean,
Yeah.
he said go time is now, but I think go time can be in like 5 minutes.
Vince just shrugs.
It's heavy traffic out.
That's true. I'll make my way down to Crow and the others.
The Tremere look at you, including the new one, Barter.
Hey, first off, thank you so much for the cure.
Just remember
Second
who
off
it
is-
came from, says Alistair.
Second off is 100% in the Samiti in the city. I got no problems with you guys. Just for the record.
That's
Old.
refreshing, says Crow. We'll hold you to that.
That's old blood, that's bad blood. I don't care about that. Third off, I reach into my suit pocket and I pull out of the vial. I have something that might be werewolf blood.
Oh?
I might have a source to get more. Can you confirm it?
Alistair says nothing. He just immediately leans forward, snatches the vial from your hand, uncorks
I'll take that as a
it,
yes.
holds it to the side, and places a drop of the blood on his finger, raises it to his mouth, licks it off, and then closes his eyes and begins to whisper an incantation. Crow leans over Barter, looking expectantly at Alistair, who then opens his eyes, smiles, and says, "I don't know where you got it, but it's the real deal."
Yes! Oh shit. So, long story short, we were fighting lupines at one point, barely got away with our lives. I took off one of their arms. And I grafted it to an animal to keep it alive.
"No shit," says Alistair, whistling.
This is from... Yeah, I took that sample today. You're such a good little boy. but I need help studying him because it's definitely affecting him, and I want to see what I need to do to keep this little pup alive, and also a renewable source of werewolf blood.
Crow smiles. It's a sort of coldly ambitious smile. Her eyes twinkle as she realizes all the opportunities that are now open to her. And then she says, It is an acceptable peace offering to foster bonds between the Zemis and the Tremere clan. Get in touch with us, please, after this is over. Lupine blood is incredibly useful for blood magic, I'm sure you understand.
I didn't, but okay. Also, what happens if you drink it?
They look at each other, and then Alistair simply smiles and says, don't drink it. Just don't.
Good enough. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be talking. And I'll head back to the others.
The others are waiting at the door to the cinema, and as you reach them, Chimera grabs the handle and wrenches the door open, just as, on the screen, the exterminator gives a thumbs up as he's lowered into a boiling pit of molten magma. The music once again swells, and you step out once again into the lobby of the cinema. The girl behind the counter is still busy with the popcorn machine, and she doesn't notice as you walk past.
I'll leave a 50.
Yep.
I'll leave a 50 on the counter.
You leave a 50 there, and as you leave the 50, she finally whirls around. She sees you and she says, "Oh! Movie over already? Strange."
Yeah, we gotta call business. You know how it goes.
Oh. She says, "You missed the start and you missed the end."
That's
well.
Right.
We play this movie once every year, apparently. Someone up in management really, really likes it. So, don't worry. I'm sure you won't miss out next time.
Though how the hell anyone can look at this and call it claptrap? I was 100% behind or beyond this before this. Now I'm like only 90%. All right, fine. Whatever. All right, thank you. You have a great night, okay?
The girl smiles.
Good Keep it up.
The girl smiles and says, "Oh, please, have a good night, and remember, new Avengers movie, starting tomorrow." She gives you a wink.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're gonna wrap up that one. The Infinity Rocks. That's right.
She flashes you another smile as you turn, follow the others to the entrance, and step through them. Into the windy night outside, into the well-lit cobblestone street that runs through Yarraville's heart. You show the others the message from Adiz, the address that he's sent you. It's not far away, only a couple of blocks from here, right on the edge of southern Footscray. And this is strange. It's right in the midst of Anarch territory.
Actually, that could be rather clever. Thornton wants something the Camarilla doesn't want. He doesn't want the Cam to find. He cuts a deal with, like, whoever's in the local neighborhood and sets up a hidden place. Okay.
As you
That's
make
a possibility.
as Hope climbs aboard her Kawasaki and Vince, Derek, and Chimera step into the neighbouring car park towards their vehicles, is there anything you would like to do before you head off to meet with the D's?
Can you guys think of anything?
No, I think we're all pretty ready.
Anyone hungry enough that they need to hunt?
I can hunt, but I'm only down one. I'll just go summon some gulls put duck in an alley and summon some gulls real quick.
Sure.
I don't get hungrier. And that's 3 successes.
3 successes. As you negotiate your Kawasaki out of the main street onto the nearby road, you look up and notice 3 weary-looking seagulls flapping, hovering above you, desperately trying to keep up. You slow down just a little and allow them to perch on your shoulders. And then...
Look left, look right, no cameras, no people. Okay.
You grab one by the scruff of its neck. It lets out a loud squawk as you shove it into your mouth and begin to drain it. You may reduce
Please
your
don't
hunger
taste like
by
fries.
1. It tastes
Please
exactly like seawater, sewage, and fast food yet again.
Oh god! Mac Nuggets. Oh god, now I want Mac Nuggets. Fuck. The other 2 get put in the duffel bag for now. Good
The
guess
other
we'll
2
have some
look at
seagulls on
you
the
with a
trip.
look of relief. A short-lived look of relief as you grab both of them, one in each hand, and stuff them violently into the bag that's slung over your shoulder and zip it shut. And then
Stay still, shut up. Might have use for you later.
Then you gun the engine on the Kawasaki and catch up to the others, who are by now nearly a full block ahead of you.
You deserve a break today. Shit.
Everyone else, lower than 3 hunger at least?
Yeah, Chimera's at 1, so
Yep, Vincent's
couldn't
at
feed if she
2.
wanted to. Well, she could, but she won't.
Yeah, alright. It's only about 10 minutes later that you round the corner, drive past a big green road sign that says Footscray on it, and park up in front of a run-down looking car garage. Faded, peeling lettering on the brick wall, painted white, reads Inner Truth Panel Beaters.
What?
Okay.
As you park in the empty car park just to the side of the garage and exit your vehicles, and your feet crunch down on the cracked concrete with tufts of grass and shoots of other foliage popping out here and there in little clusters. You catch a flicker of movement in the corner of your eye and whirl around to see a Deez stepping out of a shadowy alleyway that runs along the back of the panel beater's garage. He nods silently, and then he beckons you to follow him.
Alright. Sends the beast and echolocation up.
Yep.
And my duffel bag over my shoulder with the submachine gun and goals inside.
You can still feel the bird struggling inside. The bag occasionally lets out a ah!
Well, I've still got fair whispers going, so tell them to shut the fuck up.
Follow a Deez across the cracked, flowering concrete. And then he reaches out towards the rusty roller door at the front of the garage, and with a grunt, lifts it up. It slides open, and you step across the threshold into the garage itself. A cold blue light illuminates the space inside. It's almost completely empty. It's obvious this garage is no longer operating as a business. There's an old card jack stuffed in one of the corners, but the only other things decorating the empty garage are some empty wooden crates and a cardboard box filled with old paint cans. Once you're all inside, a Deez turns around, grabs the handle on the back of the roller door and pulls it down, shutting it. hiding you from any prying eyes outside. Then he leans up against the brick wall, folds his arms, and he says, "Well, you're on time at least." He says, "Our friends seem to be running a bit late."
Somebody else on the shindig?
Yeah. He says, "Won't tell you who. You'll figure it out. You'll probably hear him before you see him, but here's the skinny. We think Thornton's making his move tonight."
Alright.
He says, "I've been spending the last week keeping an eye on this one particular Ventru. Goes by the name of Victoria Grant. She's chief of staff up there at Channel 7. Handles most of the broadcast schedule and chooses what stories make it into the 6 o'clock news bulletin. And, well, traditionally she's been the one who handles the public relations for Thornton, for Adams Investments, and works her magic to cover up all of the little indiscretions that Thornton or the other high-up Ventrus need covered up. A couple nights ago, I snuck into the Channel 7 building, made my way into her office, and checked out her computer. And wouldn't you know, there's an email sitting in her inbox. It's from Thornton, and it simply says, "Glad to have you aboard. I'll have the details for you when I'm ready to go. Be ready for an emergency bulletin that night." So, I let our dear friend Specs and the Prince know, and we doubled down our surveillance. Keep an eye on little Miss Victoria. And tonight, we catch her going somewhere where she almost never goes. Leaving her post at Channel 7, travelling to the other side of the CBD, and making her way to Adams Investments' main HQ for an appointment. Saw her walk out again with a hard drive clasped in her hand, some sort of dead drop left for her by Thornton, and, well, remembered what the email said. Figured tonight he's planning to make his move, so I put out the call to have Miss Grant snatched, and as he says this, you hear the sound of heavy tires crunching over asphalt from outside. And the D says, "Ah, there he is." He turns towards the small metal door, the back entrance to the garage, walks over and flings it open. You see the glimmer of headlights in the darkness outside, and then a familiar, tall, muscular silhouette steps out of the van. A misshapen bundle of something slung over his shoulder. He takes a step forward and is illuminated in the headlights of his vehicle. It's Larson. Larson! So happy you could grace us with your presence at long last, says Adiz. He holds open the door as Larson steps into the garage. Slung over his shoulder is an unconscious woman. She's wearing a white pencil skirt and business cardigan, her long black hair obscuring her face. And with his other hand, he's dragging behind him a large cotton sack, roughly the size and shape of a human figure.
Alright.
He dumps the unconscious woman on the ground at your feet, and then turns his attention to the bag. He reaches down and tears it open, revealing a pale-skinned woman with bombshell blonde hair. Her eyes are closed, and a bloodied stake is sticking out of her chest.
Okay.
Larson takes a step back, leans against one of the wooden crates, and then he smiles. Adese, Hope,
Hey.
Derek, Vincent. He smiles cruelly, revealing his sharp teeth.
Presuming they're both still alive, yes?
Of course.
Well, manner of speaking. So
I
that's
am
Victoria
capable of exercising restraint, says Larson. Well, okay then, says Adese. I get Miss Grant there with the stake in her chest. Who's the other broad?
That was my question.
Yeah.
Larson smiles. Followed her around for a bit before I snatched her. Guessing this Sheila's some sort of touchstone or something. Figured I'd pick her up too. Can use her to make Victoria talk.
I don't know if it'll come to that. Did she happen to have a hard drive on her when you picked her up?
Ah, yeah, that. Reaches into his pocket, pulls out a... You know those external SSDs with the cable that you plug into a computer? He pulls out one of them, and he, without taking any care at all for how fragile it is, just tosses it through the air and hope you scramble forwards, catching it at the last second.
Oh, nearly gave me a heart attack and it doesn't beat no more. Okay.
Had this in her car as well, he says. He kneels down, reaches once again into the cloth sack, and pulls out a white MacBook.
Well, ain't you Santa, just bringing us goodies. Alright, thanks, man. And do you guys want me to mush her feet together so she can't run? Psychological advantage there.
Adese shrugs, but Larson just smiles and says, and they think I'm the monster.
I look toward Chimera and Derek. I don't know if we need it, but...
Might be a good precaution, but yeah, I don't know that we need it.
Precautions are my middle name.
Go ahead then. Make a rouse check for your flesh crafting.
I do get hungrier. That's fine. I've got a duffel bag of takeout. Later. Hope doesn't linger long on it. She just walks over, takes the lady's shoes off, takes her hands and melds them one to each of them.
Dees and Larson just watch with morbid curiosity as you warp her flesh, fusing her feet together from the ankles down.
If you guys want to handle the interrogation, I'll get to work on the laptop and hard drive.
Oh, sure, says Adese. He says, oh, by the way, apologies for calling you all the way out here to Anarch territory. Figured if we're gonna put the squeeze on this chick, we wanted her as far away from Ventru domain as possible.
This is about that place, yeah.
Yeah, go any much further, you're in Lupine territory.
Alright, so, how we want to handle this? He looks over at Larson. Larson eyes the unconscious woman on the ground and he says, "Alright, I'm gonna pull the stake out and I'm gonna threaten to snap this bitch's neck unless she gives us everything we want to know. Sound good to you guys?" Dees holds out his hand and says, maybe let's let Hope's crew have a crack at it first, huh? Derek, Chimera, Vincent?
Yeah, Chimera pipes up. Oh, please. She didn't do anything technically wrong. We don't just go, like, snapping necks or anything. She's absolutely disgusted by the idea that they would even do that to somebody.
Dees smiles and nods. His face looks oddly menacing in the dim, harsh blue light of this tiny garage, but he says, "I agree. Let's save drastic measures for when or if we need them." Alright. Chimera, Vincent, Derek, you give me the signal and I'll pull the stake out. Larson, bring the other girl around. Meanwhile, Hope sits on the floor a couple meters away. She's set up the MacBook on the cracked concrete.
Max.
And as you turn it on, it asks for a password.
Well, I guess I'm going to pull out my phone, download the latest crack app, and get to work turning the spindle doofers.
Go ahead, make an intelligence technology roll.
So I'm going to go ahead and boost intelligence. Don't get hungry. I did take a hacking specialty because it keeps coming up. So that's 7 dice. 3 successes.
3 successes. You try all the common passwords first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Password. Password 2. Victoria's name. None of them work. And so you sigh, browse through the apps on your phone and launch the cracking app. It helps you get the Mac into recovery mode, and from there it's just a simple matter of typing some commands into...
I am admin.
Yeah. Typing some commands into the command line, giving yourself admin access and resetting the password. And then you're in. The MacBook lets out a little chime as it lights up the desktop background, a picture of Aurora Borealis.
I'll take a look at her and move out her line of sight. Just so she can't see me working on her computer.
Yep, just as she's awakened. And then you grab the hard drive, plug it into the USB slot, and start to browse the files. Go ahead, Hope, make an intelligence investigation check for me.
Oh, good thing that's still boosted. Messy critical 4.
Messy critical 4. So, Hope, you spend the next 10 to 20 minutes browsing through the files. The hard drive doesn't just have the evidence you need on it. It seems it's Victoria Grant's all-purpose backup. It's filled with information for news stories from months, even years ago, and there's a lot of chaff to browse through. And you get the feeling that time is of the essence as you browse through folder after folder, skimming through half-written scripts and story outlines and broadcast schedules. You feel your beast growing more and more impatient. And your compulsion activates.
Oh, this laptop's coming home with me.
Yes.
This is too good to gifted. No, it's mine now. End of story.
You you get -2 dice to all rolls except those that allow you to establish ownership of an object, which you've chosen as the laptop. You've hacked into it, so when you're done here, it'll just be a simple matter to change the username to Hope, set a new password, delete anything that ties it back to its previous owner, and then it's yours. But we'll get to that momentarily. As Hope searches the files on the hard drive, Chimera, Vincent, and Derek gather around Victoria Grant. Larson grabs the unconscious touchstone and drags her forward so that she's lying beside the vampire. And then, to bring her around, he delivers a swift kick to her midsection. She gasps in pain as her eyes open. She immediately opens her mouth to scream, but Larson moves with the speed of a apex predator. He grabs her, holding her neck in one hand and using his other hand to cover her mouth, quickly restraining her. Adil sighs, rolls his eyes, and then he kneels over Victoria, grasps the stake, and looks towards you. Ready, guys?
Like, ready as I'll ever be.
Yeah.
Here we go. And then he wrenches the stake free. Immediately, Victoria opens her eyes, sits up. She takes a few seconds to scan her surroundings, and when she sees you all gathered around her, along with the sheriff and the scourge, whose faces she surely knows, she realizes that she's in a very bad situation. She quickly takes stock of the three of you in front of her, and then she locks eyes with Derek. Her eyes glimmer bright yellow, and she purses her lips and makes a command. Release me and my touchstone now. Derek, you may roll, if you like, to resist this with intelligence plus resolve, or, as Victoria Grant is only 13th generation and you are 12th, you may spend a willpower to just immediately shut her domination attempt down.
Yeah, let's flex on her. She's a willpower.
Spend a willpower.
Get wrecked, dude.
You just blink in her eyes and smile and say, you'll have to try harder than that. She frowns. What? Didn't work?
And for the record, I can't help with that anyway. I just loosely gestured what's going on with her hands and feet.
She looks down towards her ankles and for the first time seems to actually process what have been done to them. Her eyes go wide, her jaw drops open, and she simply says, What the hell do you want from me? And turns to her right, sees Larson with his hands wrapped around the girl's neck and mouth, the girl whimpering as her eyes are wide with terror, and she says, What are you going to do to Alyssa?
Chimera crouches down in front of her and says, hopefully nothing. It really does depend on what you say.
Chimera, go ahead and make a charisma intimidate check for me.
That is a 2.
2. She turns and stares into your face, Chimera, and she says, You say that, but I know what the Scourge is capable of, and... Okay, what do you want to know? I promised Thornton I wouldn't say anything, but I'm not about to throw away my life and my touchstone for this.
That's the name we're looking for.
Good answer, says Vince, smiling. Says, knew you'd pull through, Victoria. It's all about the story, remember? All about the story in the end, and you love nothing more than to share what's in the public interest, don't you? Victoria glares at him. Merryweather. I should have known. Your sire's got people looking for you, you know. So, this is about Thornton's push for Praxis, I take it?
Among other things, yeah.
Look, I'm not directly involved with that. I know he's planning something. He's been planning something for a while. I know Palmer's on security. And I know that there's going to be violence involved. All I was told is that on the night in question, I was to pull strings at the TV station, get an emergency broadcast on the air. Those were Thornton's orders, and she looks over, sees Hope kneeling on the ground. She can't see the laptop, but it doesn't take much to assume that Hope's cracked into it and is searching through it and says, well, he gave me materials to make the bulletin all the more believable, you know. Said that after midnight tonight was to go on the air, do an emergency bulletin about a ruptured gas main, an explosion. It's going to take out a street in Turak. It's going to take out Prince Taylor's manor and a couple of the neighbouring properties.
Ooh, that's a bold move.
Okay.
She shrugs. Again, all I was meant to do was report on it. Ruptured gas main, terrible accident, lives lost, and she hears the groan of the hard drive as Hope finally finds what she's looking for.
Got it.
Popping open a folder and finding within it what appear to be a series of police and fire department reports, doctored, that describe the accident in question. The valve of a gas main underneath the road rupturing, catching alight due to lingering gas build-up and destroying most of the properties on the street. The reports have been specifically doctored to make the incident look like an unfortunate freak accident. And in the list of properties and casualties, all mention of Squizzy or his manor has been replaced with a 4-bedroom townhouse and what you can only assume to be a completely fictitious family of 3.
So this is what he had all the venture working on.
The final file is 4 seconds of footage. The footage shows a rusted pipe embedded in concrete. You don't know if it's on the street in question, but you see a joint between two sections of pipe with a valve wheel beginning to shake faster and faster and faster. You see gas beginning to spray out of a crack, a gap between the two sections of pipe, and then a few seconds later, whoosh, flames burst out, destroying whatever camera captured this footage. It's all there, says Victoria. It's all there. I had the anchor tapped, ready to go. She gestures towards her touchstone, who nods in Larson's hands.
So, if we wrap this up quickly, a couple of us can make her forget this ever happened, but we're already on the clock, so we're gonna have to answer questions quick, Victoria, okay?
What else do you want to know? And she looks over at her touchstone, and it's at this moment that the poor girl, Alyssa, decides to make a stupid decision, sensing a momentary weakness in Larson's grip as he peers threateningly at Victoria. She jerks away, pulling her face free of his hand. She screams, "Ah!" as loud as she can, her scream filling the tiny garage, pounding against your eardrums. With a look of sheer anger on his face, Larson grabs her as she starts to run away, wraps his arms around her neck and begins to squeeze, cutting off the screams and replacing them with pained gasps for breath as he chokes the life out of her. "Stop it!" shouts Victoria. "Stop it! Now I'll tell you whatever you need! Whatever you need!"
The other Ventru. I stand up and start walking toward Larson. The other Ventru. What were they working on? They were working on this, weren't they? Setting up the explosives?
She nods. "Explosives, yeah! Explosives! Through Palmer's contacts, and they're gathering them somewhere in the city, and..." Next to her, Alyssa chokes. Adiz shoots Larson a look, but Larson merely smiles, obviously enjoying himself. "Please, stop this!" shouts Victoria. "Stop him now!"
I'll walk over to Larson. Oh, come on. It's not her you want to kill. If you shove her off like this, I'm not giving you the chance, buddy.
Ooh, go ahead, Hope, and make for me a charisma plus subterfuge check.
Alright. I'll go ahead and boost. Seriously, if you keep popping people like this, that's a lack of class. And I do not want to dance with somebody who doesn't have class. Oh, I'm gonna willpower this one.
Probably a good idea.
3 successes.
3 successes. He rolled a 2 on his resolve. Larson growls. He looses his hand, and just as the woman gasps for breath, he lifts her up in a single hand and hurls her across the room. She flies.
I wave at Adiz.
Adiz rushes forwards and he snatches her out of the air just before she hits the white brick wall. She gasps once more in Adiz's arms and then sinks into a dead faint.
And I'll run over, pry her eyes open, and say, "Hey, forget."
She lets out a peaceful breath.
Okay.
As the last of her consciousness fades away, Larson clenches his fists. You got it, Hope. But remember, I'll hold you to this. You for her. We just gotta set a time and a place.
All things in their time, man. One crisis at a time. All right. And I'll kneel down before you. See what we're dealing with here? We're on your side. This guy, though, he's a loose cannon. We can control him.
Victoria nods. The
So,
look of utter
well-
terror on her face,
we
subsiding
need their
ever so
staging.
slightly. You're... I know you. I've heard them
Yeah.
talk about you at court. She gestures towards her fused legs. You're the one who did this.
Yep. 100% reversible, too.
She nods. Look, all I know is that Elliot's got some old contacts from the war. He's been sourcing explosives for a few months. He and Palmer have been gathering them somewhere in the city. I don't know where, but he's got this girl. Goes by the name of Eleanor Kraft. She's an intern at Adams Investments, an accounting student at the University of Melbourne, and Thornton chose her because she's just an intern. No one would think to spy on her. She's been handling... She sighs, bows her head. Eleanor's got the information you need. She knows where Thornton's gathered all the explosives. She knows where he's hiding.
I'm gonna, as she's talking, telling us this, I'm gonna go ahead and scry the soul.
Yeah.
Good man.
See if
Good
I-
idea.
Go ahead. So you're going to scry the soul. Go ahead and make an intelligence plus auspex, and she'll be making a composure plus subterfuge.
And oh shit, I forgot something. And was it a penalty for rolling on Larson because I didn't have that laptop? May I mark off an additional willpower to make up for that?
Yeah, to make up
Okay,
for it,
thank you.
because you're going through your composure.
Yeah. I'm still clutching the laptop to me, for the record. I have not put it down.
Straight 4 for her. She doesn't have subterfuge, so it's just 4 resolve.
Okay, I'm gonna whittle that. Still only 2 successes.
2 successes, that meets her 1 success and beats it.
Oh.
You stare at her peering into her soul, and her aura flares around her. Bright blue with flashes of purple, indicating that she's scared, but with flickers of confidence at the same time. She's telling you the truth, but there's something she's holding back on, something that's making her unconsciously confident, something that she thinks is going to trip you up.
Just as I'm looking at her, just... You're holding something back, Victoria. That's not good for you.
Go ahead and make a strength intimidate check for me.
Strength intimidate.
Yeah, because I figure you're going to step forwards and clasp your hands together and get down on your knees, look right in her face. But you can substitute charisma if you want.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, yeah. As my eyes glow, so it's like, I can see that you're holding something. Only 2 successes.
2 successes. That's enough. 2 is what you needed. For a moment, just a moment, she tries very hard to present a facade of confident silence. Then she realizes what you've done. That you can see her aura. Okay, she says. Palmer's got some of his goons. They're patrolling the area around where Eleanor lives. They're being told to be on the lookout for Mr. Merriweather specifically, and at this Vince steps forwards and says, no, not for me specifically, for my car. Yeah, and, well, there's another thing as well. Eleanor lives... The apartment block she lives in, it's student accommodation. It's a couple blocks away from the university, and that's Chantry territory, and Professor Cypher... If Professor Cypher clues on that you're looking for her, well, he won't take very kindly to that. He'll probably assume that you're working with Thornton, trying to cover things up, and he'll take measures to make sure that doesn't happen.
I look to Derek and Chimera. We got anything else for her?
I feel like that's probably all she's hiding.
Look,
She looks pretty sincere.
I don't know anything else. I swear, she says. Look, I'm only 23 years dead, okay? I'm not allowed to know any of the specifics other than what I've told you. My job's to cover it up and make sure the rest of the court doesn't suspect that anything untoward happened. That's all.
We get it, I say. You're just a pawn in this, I understand. And I move down and I slowly start putting your feet back to the right way around. Hold still. But you might want to hold still for another reason, because either way you're going to be out of this until things are settled. And I look over at the stake and to the rest of the group.
Adiz nods silently. Her bottom lip trembles. No, you can let me go.
No, it's fine.
I've...
No,
and then hope
we really can't.
You grab the stake and force it once more into her flesh, sticking it through her already ruined business cardigan.
Well, she hasn't broken any traditions.
She lets out a gasp, her eyes roll back, and her skin once more grows stony and hard.
And her elder pretty much forced her into this, so she didn't have a choice to begin with. I'm thinking Adiz, she stays on ice till this is over. That sound good?
Adiz nods. Yeah, no traditions broken, at least not yet. I'll keep an eye on her. He looks over at Larson. He says, and you brought her in, so as far as you're concerned, your duty's done for tonight. Sure you want to keep her alive, Larson growls. Adiz nods. Yes, for the time being. I'll call someone to have her touchstone returned to a place of safety. You, meanwhile, will report back to your sire and the seneschal. Larson snarls, baring his teeth, and then he nods.
Larson, man!
Yep.
Don't you get it? This is way more painful for her. She's gonna wake up and find a new primogen who is now in charge of her.
Larson just growls. "Ugh. Fine.
Yeah, and that everything she'd been working for, gone now.
But if this comes back to bite us in the ass, I'm washing my hands of the whole thing."
That's fair.
"Alright," says Larson. He cracks his knuckles. "I'm gonna go report to the prince. Look," he turns and faces you, Hope. "When you go to bring Thornton in, if you need any help, you give Adiz a call, and he'll send me to you.
Alright.
I don't much fancy your chances taking on a primogen, so I'm willing to help out just this once."
We might take you up on that, actually. Thank you.
Brushes his hand in the air, saying goodbye as he turns, steps through the metal doorway and then slams it shut behind him. "Okay," says Adiz. "I'll watch over her." He nods towards Victoria. "You know where Eleanor's apartment is.
Yeah.
You'd best get going. Apparently this is happening just after midnight, and it's just after 10 now."
Time's of an essence. We can probably... I mean, can you take care of her touchstone, too?
"Don't worry, I've got people coming. They'll make sure she gets safely returned to where she came from."
In all this. Okay. Alright, guys.
He makes his way to the roller door and once again lifts it up, letting you out. And as you step out onto the cracked, overgrown driveway in front of the panel beater's business, he pulls the shutter door down behind you. Vincent frowns. He looks over his shoulder and he says, "So my sires put the word out that I'm coming. But unless they're checking every car that goes into North Melbourne, they're not going to know it's me. My bet is they've been told to look out for my car. And, well, I'll admit, it does stand out. Not that I'm saying the fact that my car turns heads is a bad thing. But in this case, maybe we want to be a bit more subtle. Now, Hope, everyone knows you drive that pissy little Kawasaki. And Derek, people have probably seen your car around a couple of times. But
So I'm mixed up.
But
he
my car,
smiles as he looks over at Chimera's car. The 92 Supra. Cockroach's old car. The silver paint is peeling away, flecked with
God, I love
rust.
it.
And there's still a sticker firmly attached to the back windscreen that says, "My other ride's your mum."
Oh, I love it. Yeah, good idea, Vince. And I'm going to make an offer you're probably going to turn me down, but does anyone want their face reshaped so to go in a little more covert?
Vince shakes his head. He says, "No, I think I'll be fine. Just gotta make sure we don't draw attention to the car." Anyone else, though?
Glenn.
"Hey, I'm not one to kink shame," he says, looking and winking at Chimera. "You want to change your face? Be my guest."
No, I'm pretty satisfied with how I look.
Yeah, you aren't as well known among the Ventru, so...
I was gonna say, I'm Anarch. Nobody gives a shit about me.
Yeah, it's true.
Derek, this is on Chantry Turf. Your call.
No, it's probably better I look the way I do, because then I can hopefully persuade anyone we come across if they are from the Chantry.
Yeah, if you see
All
any
right, that
Tremere,
works.
at least they'll recognize you.
Yeah.
Alright, let me disassemble the Kawasaki, and I start to do it, realize I got the laptop under my arm. Oh yeah.
Make an
Slide it into my
intelligence
duffel bag.
technology check for me, please, to make sure this laptop belongs to you.
Does hacking apply, or...?
hacking does apply.
2 successes.
So as you begin
Oh wait,
to
I
fold up...
boosted it for this scene. 2 more dice.
Yep, 2 more dice, yep.
Yeah, 4 successes. Okay.
4 successes. So as you fold up the Kawasaki, you become aware of the laptop under your shoulder. Sighing, you quickly pop open the lid, browse into the registry, and start to systematically delete anything that contains the word Victoria or Channel 7. Then you rename the administrator account to your own name and change the password. It takes all of about 2 minutes. The others have already gathered inside the Supra by the time you're done, but when you snap the lid shut again, your beast purrs, satisfied. Your compulsion no longer applies.
Oh my. I celebrate with the gold before I get in the car, then. Okay.
So, do you allow Vince to drive, or Chimera, this is your car, would you like to drive?
Oh no, this is her car. She's driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince,
No way she'd give that ground to Vince.
Vince has a momentary look of disappointment as you usher him out of the driver's seat, but he quickly...
It's only a small one. This car really is a beater.
Yeah, quickly composes himself as his face is replaced with that usual mask of smug neutrality. Chimera, you slide into the driver's seat, sink into the upholstery, and jiggle the key once, twice. Alright, Mutt, says Vincent. Hand on the dashboard, other hand on the key. Press, use muscle, and kick the pedal down as you jiggle. Sighing, rolling your eyes.
Give it a spin.
You do as he says, and then the engine roars to life. You reverse out of the parking lot and drive into the industrial wasteland. Before long, you're on the M2 motorway, a direct artery into the CBD, and it should take you directly to the edge of North Melbourne, where Eleanor's student accommodation awaits. As you merge into the line of traffic already making its way down this clogged artery, the industrial waste gives way to the brightly lit inner city. The buildings grow taller, the lights glow brighter, and Chimera, you can't help but feel a little nervous as you realise you are now well and truly in Cam domain.
Okay. Are we grabbing her in anything that looks useful and running and interrogating her elsewhere, or are we finding a secure place and interrogating her on site? What's the call?
I guess it depends on how it goes down. She's living at the student accommodation. There'll be plenty of people around, but if we can get the drop on her and, get her into her bathroom or somewhere that's quieter, we can just do it here.
I mean,
She's
3 of us
never
have
playing
dominate, so
Yeah.
should probably be trained to resist. So, no, I think you're better than me, Derek. And Vince is hella good. Vince is hella good. All right.
So,
See how it goes.
this seemingly...
Oh yeah, Vince can handle it.
Yeah, Vince can handle it. So this endless parade, this endless stream of cars that make their way down the M2 are almost like a stream of ants returning to the colony after a night of hard work gathering food and resources. And as you turn onto the off-ramp and begin to descend into the city proper, Vince slams his fist on the dashboard and loudly calls out, "Fuck!" He points ahead, and you glance through the windscreen and inwardly sigh. There's a police van at the end of the off-ramp. A checkpoint has been set up. One by one, each car stops A uniformed police officer steps forwards, checks the identities of those inside, and then moves the car on.
We all have masks save for Chimera.
You
We
do
all have those
masks.
fake ID cards.
This must be the Second Inquisition in effect, you think. Checkpoints at every entrance to the city. So you have two
Alright.
options. As Hope said, you do have masks. You can trust that they will hold and head calmly through the checkpoint. Or you can try to find another, less patrolled way into the city. Though this will probably eat up a chunk of your time.
How much time do we have? I suppose that's the ultimate
It's
question.
just after 10 o'clock, so you've got about 2 hours to get to Eleanor, get the information from her, and get to wherever Thornton is.
Ooh, that's cutting it really close.
It is. We might have to take the risk. Everybody, if we go through, everybody remember to blush for life.
So Vince is gonna rouse. As he rouses, and colour flushes into his cheeks. He doesn't get
You too,
hungrier. He sighs and he says, oh, alright, I guess my name is Chad for the next 15 minutes.
And life flushes into my system. And I will also rouse the blood to quick change my face over to antibodies.
Antibodies, yep. To match your
Slap.
mask. Derek and Chimera, would you like to do a blush of life, just in case?
Chimera did, and she got hungrier.
Ooh, hunger 3.
No, that's hunger 2,
Hunger
actually.
2. As you feel the colour return to your face, your beast growls.
Relax, I've got a
City's
snack
full
back
of
for you after
people
this.
just like Cockroach. Why are we bothering with Thornton? You can clean up the city. Clean up the city and let the Ventru do what he wants.
She kind of speaks to her beast and says, oh, don't worry, there's going to be plenty of time for that. She's on board with it.
Yeah.
Just not right now. For the love of God, not right now.
I'll
Derek-
breath spray my mouth, and then I'll look at Vince and... Hey Vince, this is all for the cause. And I spritz him with some Axe.
As he smells
Oh, God.
the fragrance, Vince just gives you this look of utter disgust. Ugh. Didn't at least have any Hugo, boss? Ugh.
Fuck no, Chad.
Okay, for the cause. For the cause. Derek, did you get hungrier from your blush of life?
No,
You did not.
thankfully.
So, you wait
Yes.
nervously for the next 10-15 minutes as the cars in front of you are checked, one by one. And then finally, it's your turn. The police officer waves a big red sign. Chimera sighs and pushes her foot on the brake pedal, bringing the car to a stop. The police officer steps forwards, and as he approaches the car, a second figure steps out of the van behind him. A man in a black suit with a headset just visible, wiry, squirreling out from under his collar into his ear. In his right hand, he holds what looks to you like a handheld video camera. It's got a blinking red light, and the word emblazoned across the side of its body is X-Scope.
We'll see if Blush of Life works on this.
The police officer strides forwards and Chimera whines down the driver's side window. Sorry to bother you. Miss and friends, but, you know, what with the terrorist attack up in Ballarat, we have to check every car coming through. It's just a formality. Look, I'm gonna need to see your driver's licenses. and then I'll let you on your way.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, you're just doing your job.
So
Yeah,
you
pulls out
all
a license
reach,
and hands it over.
reach into your
Yeah.
wallets, pull out the driver's licenses, and gather them into a pile, and then Chimera hands them to the officer. He begins to whistle as he flips through them, reading the names, and then comparing the picture to your faces. So, I would like everyone to roll their mask rating. Chimera, I know you don't have one, so you're not going to roll any, but Vince has a 2-dot mask, Derek has a 2-dot mask, and I believe so does Hope. So it's going to be 6 dice altogether. So I'll roll for Vince, Derek, and Hope. Go ahead and roll your...
I've got 1 success on mine, and it's 10, so if they're a combined pool, then somebody might crit on that.
Derek?
That is no successes from me.
That's okay, because Vince got a single 10 on his. They explode and become 4 successes. 1 for each of you. Yeah, that looks to be in order, says the cop. Sorry for bothering you. He hands the stack of licenses back over, and Chimera takes a second to divide them up once again. Just before the cop dismisses you, the man in the suit steps forwards and holds up the camera, the X-scope, up to his face. Saying nothing, he quickly scans his field of vision in front of him. As it registers your faces, it beeps. Beep beep. Beep beep. Beep beep. Beep beep. The man leans over, speaking into his headset. Humans, no blank bodies, approved, move on. The police officer nods. Good, everything's in order. Sorry once again for the inconvenience. Have yourselves a great night. And then he steps back, gesturing for you to move on.
Chimera waves out the window. Yeah, you too, buddy. And rolls up the window and quickly puts her foot on the gas. Says, fucking hate cops.
Yeah, vroom, the engine roars to life and the tires screech as soon as you're clear of the checkpoint. And you drive as fast as you can through the cramped inner city streets to put as much distance between yourself and the police checkpoint as quickly as possible.
It occurs to me we're probably not in their databases anyway. Until Thornton's caught, they want us on the task.
Yeah.
But hey.
It doesn't take long until the skyscrapers and office buildings start to give way to the more subdued houses and student accommodations and trendy cafes and businesses of North Melbourne. And as you turn onto the street where Eleanor's apartment resides, Derek, you sigh in exasperation. Ahead of you, the night sky is bathed in a thick orange haze, and there's a plume of black smoke visible at the end of the street, billowing into the sky above.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
Chimera slams her foot on the pedal. The tires screech again as she quickly screams down the street. And when you get to the student accommodation, you find the 2-story block engulfed in an inferno. Bright orange flames rage inside the building, visible through most of the windows. Here and there, wooden window frames snap, break, and tumble away, and gathered in the car park just outside the building is a crowd of scared but excited-looking university students in their pajamas. As they see your car pull up, they begin to whisper amongst themselves, and then one of them steps forwards and says, "Hey! Hey! You know, when the fire department's coming, we called, but we haven't heard anything. There's still someone in there."
Chimera leans out the window. "Don't think they're coming, buddy."
As you say this, you hear
Which
that
floor?
unmistakable scream of a woman emanating from inside the burning building. "Eleanor! Eleanor!" shouts a woman from the crowd. "On the second floor, she's in room 203!
Didn't need premonition to see that coming.
Alright. There any water nearby?
You look around, there's a fire hydrant on the side of the road, but that's about it, and you don't have the equipment to...
I'm not concerned about that. Chimera, kick open that hydrant. I get in my purse and start unveiling tarps.
Can do.
Chimera parks the car right on the edge of the parking lot, and as you step out, you can feel the heat from the flames buffeting you. You're at least 10 feet away from the building itself. You still have to cross the front lawn, head up the path to get to the entrance, but you can feel the heat, and if you were alive, you would be drenched in sweat.
Derek, I'm going to get you a calendar that says I have spent 0 days with aggravated fire damage. As Hope begins to gather tarps out of the back of the Supra, Chimera, do you do what Hope says and kick open the fire hydrant?
To start with, yes, and then I have some plans next.
Yeah, alright. Chimera, go ahead, make a strength brawl check and add your potence. If you'd like to rouse to be able to add your potence to it.
We are in front of a crowd, though, so...
Yeah, you are in front of a crowd,
There you go.
so maybe you might not want to use your prowess.
No, she's going to sit with a happy success of 4.
4. Chimera steps forwards, and with a swift kick, the hydrant bends, and a fountain of water starts to spray out of the concrete. "Holy shit!" shouts one of the students. "You see that? She just kicked that thing fucking open!"
Yeah, university uses low as bitter. You hit him just right. It's awesome. Yeah. I'll drop the tarps on the ground, grab one, soak it, wrap it over myself as I start running toward the building.
Well, Derek and Chimera, seeing Hope wrap a soaked tarp around herself, do you do the same?
But Chimera had something else.
Oh yeah, Chimera had something else to do.
So, question. Room 203, I think it was. Is that on the front side of the building, or on the sides or rear of the building?
You can make an intelligence plus investigation check if you like.
We'll see how that goes. That's 1 success.
Also, Derek, do you have D&D today? Do you mind if we go a little bit longer just so we can get through this scene?
No, that's fine. I don't think that group's going back to like the new year, so
That's
that's
fair
fine.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
holidays work in our favor for once. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how many? You got 1 success, did you, Chimera?
Yeah, just the 1.
You gaze towards the burning building, and illuminated in the flickering orange light of the flames, you see a map pinned to a community notice board behind a sheet of glass just in front of the door. And you can just make out that the rooms numbered 1 to 5 are on the front side of the building, and the rooms numbered 6 to 10 are at the back.
Ah, shit, that means that she's on the front side of the building, where everyone is. That is where everyone is, right?
Yeah.
Ah, god damn it. Yeah, we're gonna have to go with Hope's idea then.
So, as you and Derek go to reach for tarps to soak them in the spray of the fire hydrant, I would like all of you to make a wits awareness check.
Right.
That's a 3 from me.
Should I be rolling Sense the Beast as well?
If you want to, you can.
So that's 3 on Wits Awareness, and that's just seeing if there's other vampires around. That's only 2 on Sense the Beast.
Yep. Derek?
1 success.
1 success, okay. Alright. Well, that's enough altogether. So, as Derek, Vincent, and Chimera begin to wrap soaking tarps around themselves, as Hope sprints up the path towards the burning building, you catch a curious sight out of the corner of your eyes. Standing on the other end of the car park, shrouded in the shadow of a neighbouring dormitory hall, is a figure in a long red leather jacket. They're watching the flames, and as they see you approaching the building, they turn and run down an alleyway. And Hope, it's obvious to you that this person, whoever they are, is a vampire.
Well, we're gonna have to play this a bit quiet if we can.
I'm wearing a different face.
So, you saw where they run
Look,
off to. You can chase after them if you wish.
Look to Chimera and Derek. Please save her. I'll go after the vampire.
Yeah, Chimera's going to nod and start heading up towards the stairs, activating toughness as she goes.
Yeah. Vincent nods and says, I'll go with you, Hope. I don't care how important this girl is. I'm not risking burning to a crisp for this.
That's fair, and we'll need your mental skills, probably.
So you wish each other...
Burning building.
Yeah, Derek, you're an expert at this. Give each other quick glances of good luck, and then Hope and Vince start running, sprinting across the car park towards the alleyway around the side of the neighbouring student hall, chasing after the vampire. The Chimera and Derek, you pull these soaking tarps as tightly as you can around yourselves and begin to make your way up the winding concrete path that takes you over the front lawn. As you do, you feel a whoosh of heat as a second floor window shatters and a plume of flame juts out. Whoosh! I'd like both of you to go ahead and make frenzy checks, please, as you approach the burning building.
What is the frenzy check? Sorry.
So it's going to be willpower plus a third of your humanity.
Willpower. Okay, cool.
And stains don't affect that, do they?
Stains do not affect it, no.
No, I didn't think it
That is 3 successes.
And so I'd be down 2 dice, wouldn't I, from burning 2 will.
Yes.
Yeah. 3 successes as well.
3 successes. So your beast is whispering to you, No, not again, run! Run! And then you hear Alexander's voice. To the safety of the garden. The garden is safe. To the safety of the garden. Chimera, your beast is simply roaring. You can't decipher anything it's saying. It's simply roaring, terrified screams. But you exchange glances with each other, grit your teeth, and press on. Luckily, just beyond the main entrance of the dormitory, the fire doesn't appear appear to be at its thickest. You can see just enough room beyond that you should be able to make your way down the main hallway to the stairwell at the end, as long as you're careful of the flames that rage in the rooms off to the sides.
Let's waste no time. Chimera just starts sprinting towards it.
Chimera grabs the glass door and breaks it open, kicking it with her heavy combat boots, and starts to run down the hallway. The walls of the building itself seem to be sweating. There are drops of liquid rolling down the surface of the melting plaster, and here and there, student newspapers and notice boards are curling as the heat causes the paper to warp and twist. The heat is intense. You feel wetness on your foreheads, and as you raise your hand, you realize you're starting to sweat blood. Crack! To your right, a dormitory door bursts open and a plume of flame whooshes out. Go ahead and make Dex athletics checks for me, please.
Oh god, I'm willpowering that.
Any bonus dice from the wet tarps?
Yes, you get 1 bonus dice for the wet tarps.
That is a grand total of 5 successes then.
Woo.
Thanks. Do I want to risk getting hungrier? I probably should.
Getting hungrier or getting crispier, I know which one I'd choose.
Yeah.
Definitely crispier.
Vampire
Fail, so I get hungrier. Oh, god damn it.
Hungrier, that brings you up to hunger 3, I believe.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Not too bad.
And I get 3 successes.
3 successes. So, Derek, you've been in this situation before. You see the wooden door begin to bend and buckle. You grab Chimera and go and call out, "Jump! Get out of the way!" Just as the flame roars out. You and Chimera get out of the way just in time, but you feel the intense heat tickling your backs, almost burning you. You continue running forwards and reach the stairwell ahead. Climbing the stairwell as fast as you can, you quickly reach the second floor landing, and here is when your beasts begin to protest even louder. The fire here is much more intense. The roof has burst, giving way to rubble that's tumbled down and blocked you from having easy access to the hallway beyond. There's a small gap, just small enough for you to crawl through, but you don't fancy your chances. There's a flame happily burning right on the other side in room 209, and crawling through that gap would make it very hard to get out of the way if that flame were to suddenly spread. What would you like to do?
Are there any other obvious alternative routes?
It looks like this is the only means of accessing the second floor. But, Chimera, it's possible you could lift the rubble out of the way to allow Derek through.
Ooh, how does Derek feel about that?
So does it seem to be just a, like, it would straight up be a, if Chimera holds it, then only I can get through sort of situation, or?
Well, she probably wouldn't be able to get through herself, because she'd have to let it down again. She'd have to crawl through the gap if she wants to get through.
In that case, yeah, she'll hold it open for Derek so he can get through, and then crawl through herself. She's got toughness. She's got the blanket. She'll survive, maybe.
So go ahead and make a strength athletics check for me.
That is a success of 2.
2.
I might willpower that.
Go ahead.
3.
3. So, I'll get to that in a moment. So you reach forwards, grabbing the edge of the collapsed concrete and wooden beams, and you hoist this pile of rubble up. Bits of wood and plaster drop off the pile, tumble down onto the floor over Derek's head as he darts underneath. And then, as he stands on the other side and waits for you, you carefully lower the debris down, brace yourself and start to squeeze through the little gap that's left. Go ahead, Chimera, and make for me a Dex Athletics check. Add a bonus die for the wet tarp.
That is a 4.
It is a 4. You're nearly through. And then you hear Derek shout, "Quick! Quick!" as the door to room 209 buckles and collapses. Whoosh! And flame surges out, engulfing the small gap just as you pull yourself free.
Oh my god, remind me to never do this again. Ever. Ever, ever, ever.
You take
it's
1
about as far
point
as I remember
of
it.
aggravated damage as the flames lick the sole of your right combat boot.
How much, sorry?
1 point of aggravated damage.
Would that be halved by toughness?
No, toughness doesn't work on aggravated damage, unfortunately. Only superficial.
Oof, okay.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Defy Bane is what you need for that.
You feel the sole of your shoe melt off, and then closing your eyes and bracing your beast, you reach down, quickly grab the edge of it, ripping it off, and feeling the tips of your fingers burn from the heat. You hear another scream coming from down the hall, and then you and Derek book it to room 203. The fire here is more intense. It's already broken out of most of the rooms, and it's going to require some nimble... It's going to require either some nimble movement or simply bracing yourselves and pushing through it to get to room 203.
Chimera can be nimble.
Yep.
I don't know about Derek, though.
How you doing it, Derek? And you will get whatever you do, you will get a bonus dice because of the tarps.
Same scene, isn't it? So it'd still be boosted.
Yeah, still boosted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try for nimble.
All right.
Vamps be nimble, vamps be quick.
So I'd like you to make Dex awareness rolls, please.
Ooh.
That's a 3.
3.
And it's still +1 for the tops, isn't it?
Yep, still +1 for the tarps.
Oh, right, yeah. Let me do that too. That's 4 then. 4 successes.
4 successes.
Ooh, okay. That's critical 6.
Critical 6, nice.
Super Derek.
You charge forwards. Out of the corner of your eye, you see the flames licking at the air, licking at the tips of your armpits, at the soles of your feet, dodging, weaving left and right as your beasts yelp like stunned puppies. Every time you're buffeted by the intense heat. Finally, you reach room 203. You can hear screaming from the other side. "Please! The door's stuck! Help! Help!" As you stare at the door, you see a drop of blood land on the doorknob, and you realize that your face is dripping in vitae. I'd like both of you to make rouse checks, please, to see if you're losing enough blood to get hungry.
Yep. Chimera goes up to hunger 3.
Hunger 3.
Success. God.
It's hunger 3.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
The door's stuck! I can't get it open! You hear her scream as she grabs the doorknob. Ah! It's so hot!
Chimera yells, "Get back!" and makes to kick down the door with
Go
the one
ahead.
good boot that remains.
You gonna use your prowess or just a normal?
Oh yeah, prowess.
Alright, rouse, go ahead so you can add your potence to this.
Make sure to aim next to the lock. Next to the door handle.
Yep.
Does not get hungrier.
Does not get
Thank goodness.
hungrier. Alright,
So what should I roll for this?
go ahead, make a strength brawl check, add your potence to it.
That's 2. I'm gonna willpower that.
2, yep.
That's only 3. Hopefully that's
Hey.
enough.
It's a dorm door.
You rush forwards, Chimera, brushing Derek out of the way as behind you you hear the flames roar, building to a crescendo. You kick at the door, it shakes, you ram your shoulder into it, it shakes, and then, seeing it slightly ajar, you grit your teeth and smash the wood into matchwood. And as you do so, you see what looks like a faint shimmering aura dissipate. Derek, you recognize this as the residue of blood magic. The door was not simply jammed. Somebody used blood magic to seal it.
Tying up loose ends.
As the door bursts open, you see Eleanor on the other side. She's wearing pink pajamas with pictures of winged cheeseburgers on them. Her terror-wrought face is drenched in sweat. As she sees you step in, she sees the blood dribbling down your foreheads, and she opens her mouth and begins to step back.
Chimera looks for a chair to smash the window open with.
Yeah, there's a chair right at the desk in her room.
Yeah,
Too
so
hard,
she
you'll
smashes the
suffocate that
window. She smashes the window and looks out into the crowd below to try and get their attention.
You see the crowd, and you call out to them. It takes a couple of tries, but then they look up. One of them points up and says, Look! They made it! They're in Eleanor's room! Someone says, We'll get a mattress! Then you see some people break off from the crowd, and within seconds, they work remarkably fast. You see 4 or 5 of them dragging a mattress across the car park and laying it down on the lawn in front of the window. Behind you, Eleanor is backing away, pressing up against the sweating plaster wall. What? You're covered. Yeah. What are you? What are you?
We're hurt, and we're trying to save your life. Chimera hobbles over to to Derek and says, "Sorry, buddy, you're first," and lines it up with the window, ready to give him a push to try and get him just in the middle of the mattress.
Do you resist, Derek?
Yeah, because he was thinking we were going to get her out first, so he's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Derek's about, no, we have to go. And then Chimera pushes into your rib, and you topple out of the window, screaming in spite of yourself. And then thump! Pain rings through your back as you land on the mattress, taking 2 points of superficial damage from the fall.
Chimera next is going to watch until he's slowly hobbled himself up the mattress.
You see Derek land sprawling on the mattress. You hear him wince in pain as he rolls off the mattress and joins the crowd.
Alright, Eleanor,
As
our
he
turn.
joins the crowd, you hear people begin to whisper, What the? You're hurt, man! You're covered in blood!
Chimera wobbles over to to Eleanor. Foot burnt quite badly. Alright, it's our turn. It's either now or never. Swaddles her in the tarp as well, and brings her up to the window and jumps out together.
Yep. Go ahead, make a charisma leadership check for me.
That is a success of 1.
Success of 1. She hesitates for just a moment. And then you grab her by the arm, wrap the tarp around her. Come on, if you stay here, you're gonna die. Let's go. I'm here to save you. Looking at you, she purses her lips and nods. And then the two of you rush towards the window. And just as you leap through it, the doorway behind you explodes, bathing Eleanor's room in flames. You sail down onto the mattress below. In midair, you whirl around, wrapping your arms around Eleanor so that you take the brunt of the impact, and then poof! You land with a thud on the lawn, and with your toughness, take only 1 point of superficial damage.
Oh, sorry about the landing.
Around you, the crowd cheer. They start
she quickly
whooping and
hops up.
clapping and shouting, and in an instant, it's almost... They seem to have completely forgotten that you're bleeding out of your faces. Instead, they're cheering you. In the distance, you begin to hear sirens. The fire brigade is finally on its way.
We're her friends. We're gonna go get her cleaned up and make sure that she's alright before the ambulances get here.
Right on, says one of the students. You guys are heroes! As you extract yourself from Eleanor, she looks up at you, and suddenly a look of realization, dawning, is written on her face. You're like him. Like Mr. Adams.
Trust me, we're nothing like him.
Yeah, Chimera hushes her voice and says, yeah, but don't be too loud about it.
She nods, and then she reaches into the pocket of her pajamas, pulls out a USB drive, and she says, It's all on here. It's all on here. Tell him I did my best. I kept it safe.
You did good. You might want to lie low for a while, though.
And then pressing the thumb drive into your hand, she nods, taking in your words, and allows a couple members of the crowd to pull her to her feet, then pull her away.
I hope they don't try and do that again. I don't think she'd have people watching over her next time.
Yeah,
Derek,
true.
how do you feel? Second burning building in a matter of as many weeks.
I'm hoping this doesn't become a habit.
Well, you didn't get singed this time. Chimera did.
Chimera's also going to head over to the flowing water from the
from the hydrant.
from the fire hydrant and just clean herself off.
As you
Shake herself off.
As you feel the skin of your toes burning, sending intense pain through your nerves. You step towards the still flowing fountain of water and stick the bare tip of your foot into it, hoping it'll ease the pain. It doesn't.
She also washes her face and gets the blood off it.
You wash
very
away
quickly.
the blood, and luckily you guys are at Hunger 3, not Hunger 4, because as the crowd leads Eleanor away, you notice something. Bloodstains on the cuff of her left sleeve. She cut herself trying to get the door open.
Oof, that could have been really bad.
We cross to Hope. Hope. The last thing you saw was Derek and Chimera making their way up the path towards the burning building. Turning your back to the raging inferno, you sprint across the car park, Vince following behind you, and turn into the shadowy alleyway. You dodge around some trash cans and jump over an open telephone access grate and emerge on emerge into a nearby side street that runs along the back of this row of apartment complexes that serve as student housing. You see a flash of red ahead of you as the person you're chasing ducks around a corner at the end of the street. Go ahead, Hope, and make a resolve plus athletics check.
Okay. That's 6 dice. And I'd also like to do something before I do that. I still have a live gull in my duffel bag.
You do.
So I'm going to rouse the blood. Go, my minion of darkness!
Send the goal. The goal squawks. Ah!
4 successes to command Gull to be an eyes in the sky.
The goal
regardless
is
of where he goes.
The goal is immensely happy to finally be free of the bag. He spreads his wings and takes to the air as Vince runs ahead, drawing his gun, chasing after the person.
And that's 4 successes on the resolve athletics.
Doing your very best to maintain your stamina. You follow Vince to the edge of the street, round the corner, and into another alleyway. You and Vince continue sprinting, dodging another trash can, leaping over a homeless man who's sprawled in front of the back doorway of a business. He says, raising a hand as you leap over him. And then you come to the end of the alleyway. It's a dead end. It ends firmly at a solid brick wall. A brick wall that's at least 2 stories high. The backside of yet another apartment block. There are 2 doors, one to your right, one to your left. Staff entrances to nearby businesses. You exchange a glance with Vince, trying to decide where your quarry went.
I look up to the goal and ask which door.
You look up at the goal and he squawks as he begins to circle the building on the left.
Alright.
This way.
Vince.
You call Vince. Reach for the door and find it unlocked. You wrench it open and charge into the darkness on the other side.
Eyes of the beast.
Go ahead. Roll for eyes of the beast. Yep. Your eyes narrow, start to glow yellow.
And echolocation.
Piercing the darkness. And you realise that you're in the grimy, run-down kitchen of some sort of Asian takeaway. Go ahead, Hope, and make a wits awareness check for me. You get no penalty because of Eyes of the Beast, and you may add an extra dice because of echolocation.
I'm turning into something terrifying, very hard to run from. This is okay with me. Alright. I'll boost wits. I get hungrier. But that's good enough for 2 successes.
Fuck, I can't see, shouts Vince beside you, but you pause for a moment, stand where you are, and closing your eyes, reach out with your echolocation. The first thing you notice is the door to the pantry and freezer. It's slightly ajar, swinging ever so slightly as if something burst through it at great speed. But it's a trick. You turn to the left, and you see the door to the restaurant proper firmly shut, but a tatter of red fabric, torn, still dangling from the handle.
It's getting wrenched open.
You gesture for Vince to follow you, make your way across the kitchen, and burst through the door into the restaurant proper. The restaurant...
the seagull follow as I come.
It's letting the seagull follow as you come.
Yep.
burst out into the restaurant, hearing the flapping wings of the seagull behind you. The restaurant is closed, but someone's turned on the lights in the business proper. The tables are all covered with white tablecloths, the chairs stacked upside down on top of them. A roller shutter pulled over the front window and door, and standing in front of it, their back turned to you, trying desperately to open it to escape, is your quarry. A short, pale, bald man with a tribal tattoo on his right cheek, wearing a long, flowing red trench coat. As he whirls around and sees you, you notice the
Eyes
Tremere...
shut.
Eyes still shut, yep. As he whirls around to see you, your eyes still shut. Your echolocation senses the Tremere medallion gleaming on his neck. His eyes glimmer yellow. He tries to dominate you first. Your eyes are shut. Then he turns his attention to Vince. "Turn away! Turn around! Leave me!" he commands. Vince smiles. You'll need to try harder than that. They're both 12th generation. Vince just rolled well on his attempt to resist. Ugh! The Tremere bares his teeth. "Ventru, a pawn of Thornton Adams." "Well, I set the building alight. I killed your touchstone. And that information will never see the light of day. Professor Cypher did his very best to throw a wrench into your plans. Tonight, the girl, a week ago, a lawyer living in the suburbs. Someone managed to save him, but the documents he had in his possession, they went up in the flames. Now, to deal with you," he says. He brushes his hand forwards, and suddenly there's a ball of flame crackling in between his fingers.
That's nice. There's a seagull flying right in his face.
Alright, I'd like you to go ahead and roll your animalism plus your leadership.
Oh. So that's... I was going for manipulation plus animalism. But,
Oh, okay. You can do
yeah.
you can do manipulation. That's what the book
But I only
says
got
after
one
it.
success there.
Only one success. Rah! The bird squawks as it flies to his face, its talons out.
And really, it's mainly meant as a distraction as I bum rush him.
Yeah. He raises his hand, and you got at least one success, so he will get one penalty dice on this as you rush forwards. Go ahead, and you're just going to tackle him, I presume, like as you normally do.
Yep.
Go ahead, make
I am going to try to not get fired on the way in.
Yes, of course. You're going to make a strength brawl check.
Oh, strength is not good, so I'll go ahead and boost that. I'm getting hungrier. But no mercy applies. Make sure I got that. God damn it. I'll willpower this.
Yeah, that's probably wise.
One more success for a grand total of 2. Best I can do.
2 successes, okay. Your seagull got at least 1 success, which means he gets at least 1 penalty dice. As you rush towards him, Vince raises his gun and fires. Bang! Vince hits the Tremere right in the center of mass, dealing 3 points of superficial damage. A good shot. He had no time to react with the seagull clawing desperately at his face, but he sees you coming, and as you rush towards him, he raises his hand and releases the flame. He's going to roll composure plus occult with a penalty die. So that is 3 plus 5, so it's a 7 altogether.
Oh god.
Oof. Oof. That is... How many did you get?
I got 2.
That is 4 successes for him. He grits his teeth and hurls the flame directly at you. It sails through the air and you're buffeted with heat. Your skin begins to sting as the flame clings to your chest. And you take 3 points of aggravated damage. Flames are just enough to stop you in your tracks. You stop your charge, and your beast begins to roar as you scream out in excruciating pain. You hit the ground and roll back and forth, patting the front of your chest. You manage to put the flames out, but the Tremors had more than enough time to whisper under his breath and will another flame into existence. What do you do?
Well, the seagull's still going.
Seagull's still going, still 1 penalty dice.
Well, that's 3 successes on his attack.
3 successes.
If it matters.
Vince raises his gun, fires once again. Bang! This time
At this point, I'm just gonna dive for cover and try not to die.
This time the Tremors prepared for it. He ducks, and the bullet slams into the glass behind him, shattering it, sending sparks flying off the roller door. You're prepared for the flame coming. 3 successes, he's going to roll. This time he gets an extra penalty dice, because the seagull is still going, giving him 6 to roll with.
Well, do I get a dexterity and athletics getting out of the way?
Well, you're rolling to see if you charge it. It's included in your roll. So, like, you're doing your combat roll to attack him, and he's doing his combat roll to throw the flame.
Oh.
But
okay, that's fair.
You are lucky. He gets... Because I found rules for Lure of Flame on the Vault, and that's what I'm using.
Oh, yeah. This is old school thaumaturgy.
So, he sees you coming, but as he raises his hand and gets ready to hurl the flames, the seagull digs its beak into one of his eyes. Ah! He screams, taking a point of superficial damage. He rolls 1 success and he hurls the flame. But it's about a meter to the right of you. You dash past it. The fireball hits one of the tables behind you, and the tablecloth catches alight. Flames begin to eat through the fabric and warp the wood underneath. And as you charge towards him, I'd like you to make a frenzy check, please, for the little bonfire that's now burning happily beside you.
Oh, yeah, that's fair, that's fair. Oh, boy. Critical 6? Hey.
Critical 6. Your beast pays lip service to the concept of being scared. There's a momentary instinctual urge to pull away, but then you fix your attention on this Tremere. Your skin still stings. Your flesh still warping and bubbling in the embers, dropping off you onto the floor. Do you want to take him down?
Yes, I do.
How many successes do you get?
Well, let's see here. No mercy. 6 successes.
6 successes. To his 1 success, that's more than enough. As he snaps his finger and the sparks of a 3rd fireball start to appear, you throw yourself forwards, pinning him to the ground, smashing his head against the iron roller shutter. You deal...
And I don't stop.
Yeah. You deal 3 points of superficial damage to him, halved as you pound into him again and again, punching into his face. Bang! 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 And that impairs him. He takes 2 points of aggravated damage. The fireball in his fingers fizzles out, and he just looks into your face, his eyes burning in anger.
Mine are still shut.
Vince
And
steps
then-
forwards, reaches into the pocket of his dinner jacket and extracts what looks like a railway spike with the end sharpened. He steps over to you, still pinning the man to the floor, the seagull now perched happily on the Tremere's forehead. Vince says, "Taking him alive for questioning, I take it?"
Oh, yeah.
He smiles. He kneels down and forces the railway spike into the Tremere's chest. He gasps as his eyes roll into the back of his sockets, and he falls into torpor. Behind you, the table crackles and burns, the bonfire starting to grow ever bigger.
I look around. No, place this classy has a fire alarm.
Yeah, just as you
Let's go.
think that.
And I'll pull it on the way out.
Yeah.
As
yeah.
we're dragging the Tremere.
You wrap the Tremere around, drag the Tremere, and as you get to the kitchen, you hoist him up onto your shoulder. And as you hear...
Tablecloth around him to,
tablecloth around him to disguise him, wrenched off one of the other tables. And as you begin to drag him through the kitchen, you hear the sound of breaking wood as the flames spread to a nearby table. You nod towards Vince. He nods back, and he slams his fist on the fire alarm. It begins to ring, the bell chiming through the tiny kitchen as Vince helps you hoist this torpid Tremere onto your shoulder, and you step out the door into the night.
I look at the seagull. You are one lucky fucker. Go, live.
It nods, seemingly understanding what you're saying. Perhaps it even winks. Then it spreads its wings and is soon swallowed up by the night sky above. And with that, we will end this week's session. You managed to do both. You managed to apprehend the Tremere, who lit the dormitory on fire, and you saved Eleanor and retrieved the USB drive containing all of Thornton's information. When you reassemble with the group later, stuffing the torpid Tremere into the boot of the Supra, you wrench the USB drive from Chimera's fingers, plug it into the MacBook, and suddenly the screen is overflowing with Excel spreadsheets, months and months and months worth of financial information.
Hard evidence.
Hard evidence. But where is it pointing you? It's going to require some careful examination. At this, Vince just smiles and winks. Okay, so yes, it's true. I made my fortune on cryptocurrency. Got lucky with Otolly coin. But I know how to pass somebody's spreadsheet. Let's get us out of here. Get us to somewhere where we won't be disturbed, and we'll follow the money trail. He winks.
Derek's Haven.
So, you each gain 2 experience points.
Okay.
And next session, we shall continue with part 2 of Reap the Whirlwind, Sins of the Sire.
Oh my god. We are so down on Will. I still got the boss to go.
I will allow you to regain willpower equal to your composure plus resolve.
Oh, or resolve, yeah, okay.
Or composure or resolve, whatever's higher. You regain
never
that
mind, it's
much
all
willpower, and in addition, for saving Eleanor and apprehending the Tremere, you each get an additional 1 willpower.
Oh, I'm at max, but thank you.
Yeah. So next session, you're probably going to need to feed, but then simply a matter of following the paper trail and prying whatever information the Tremere has from his undead lips. And then the hunt is on. Elliot Palmer, Thornton Adams, you're going